A thunderous slap erupts through a millionaire's mansion as the raging mistress storms into the pregnant wife's bedroom, ready to destroy everything in her path. She believes no one can stop her, believes the husband's betrayal has given her power, but she has no idea whose daughter she just touched. Because when the CEO father arrives, the entire house becomes a battlefield of deceit, violence, and ruthless justice. And trust me, what happens next will shock you more than anything you can imagine. Leave a comment below and let's talk about this story together. The house was too quiet for a place that should have felt safe. Every room of the Morales mansion rested under a soft golden glow, the kind of warm lighting meant to calm the mind. Yet Elena Morales could feel tension in the air as she folded tiny white baby blankets on the edge of her bed. At 7 months pregnant, she moved slowly, carefully. A small ache pulsed in her lower back, and her feet were swollen from the day, but she pushed through the discomfort. The baby moved inside her with gentle pressure, as if responding to her breathing. She whispered, "We are okay, we are safe." She needed to believe it. Outside the bedroom, the hallway was silent. Too silent, not even the usual creak of the old floorboards. Elena paused. She looked toward the cracked door. For a moment, she wondered if she imagined the small noise she thought she heard. Then came another, a click, sharp and precise, like someone entering the security code on the front panel downstairs. Her heart jolted. Only 3 people had the code: herself, Daniel, and the housekeeper, who had gone home hours ago. She lifted a hand to her belly. Her pulse raced. Before she could take a step toward the door, it flew open with such force that the handle slammed into the wall, making the framed picture beside it tilt sideways. Elena gasped and staggered back, clutching the dresser for balance. A figure stormed into the room. Not her husband, not any person she ever wanted near her child. Ava, the mistress, the woman whose existence had torn her marriage apart. The woman with the crimson dresses and the poisonous confidence. The woman Elena had prayed she would never have to meet face to face. Tonight, that prayer shattered like glass. Ava's presence filled the room like fire. Her red dress clung to her body as she marched forward, heels striking the floor with violent precision. Her makeup was flawless, but her expression was anything but. Her eyes were wild with jealousy, burning with a hatred so fierce it made Elena's breath catch. She looked like someone who had rehearsed this moment in her head again and again, waiting for the perfect chance to explode. Ava did not speak. Not at first. She only stared. Tonight, that prayer shattered like glass. Elena tried to steady her voice. "Ava, you cannot be here. Please leave." Ava lunged before the last syllable even left Elena's mouth. Her hand rose in a swift arc. "Ava!" Elena's head snapped to the side. Her cheek ignited with a burning pain that radiated down her jaw. Her knees buckled. She caught herself on the bed frame, but her body trembled violently. The slap was not just physical. It carried the full weight of Ava's rage, jealousy, and the twisted belief that Elena was the only obstacle keeping her from the life she wanted. Elena tasted blood. She blinked rapidly, trying to clear her vision while the world swayed. Her baby kicked, startled by the shock. She clutched her belly with shaking hands. Ava stepped closer, breathing hard. "I have waited so long to do that." Her voice vibrated with venom, not anger alone, deep, festering jealousy. Elena pressed her back against the dresser, eyes widening as Ava grabbed a handful of her hair and yanked her upright. Pain shot through her scalp. Ava leaned in so close Elena could feel her breath on her face. "You took everything from me," Ava hissed. "He should have left you months ago. You should have disappeared. But no, you just had to get pregnant. You had to tie him down with a baby he never even wanted." Elena's voice trembled as she raised both hands defensively. "Ava, please, stop! This is dangerous! I am pregnant! I cannot be stressed like this!" Ava's expression twisted into something darker. "Good, maybe it will end all of this faster." Before Elena could react, Ava's hand flew again. The second slap was even harder. It spun Elena sideways and sent her crashing into the nightstand. The lamp shook and toppled, its bulb flickering as it rolled on the floor. A picture frame fell and shattered near Elena's feet. She cried out, a short, gasping sound that cut off as her belly tightened painfully. Fear surged through her chest. She put both hands over her abdomen, whispering to her baby to stay calm. Ava circled her like a predator, her heels crunching on broken glass. Do you know what it was like for me? She spat. He told me he loved me. He told me I would be the one by his side. He told me you were nothing. And now look at you, living here, sleeping in this room, carrying a baby that should have never existed. Elena's breathing grew rapid. Her heartbeat raced so fast she felt dizzy. Please, you are hurting me. You are hurting the baby. You mean my future? Ava snapped. And it is about time I protect it. She gripped Elena's arm and yanked her upward. Elena cried out as her balance wavered. Her belly felt heavy and tight. She fought to pull free, but Ava's grip was iron. It spun Elena sideways and sent her crashing into the nightstand. The lamp shook and toppled, its bulb flickering as it rolled on the floor. A picture frame fell and shattered near Elena's feet. She cried out, a short, gasping sound that cut off as her belly tightened painfully. Fear surged through her chest. She put both hands over her abdomen, whispering to her baby to stay calm. This time Elena managed to catch her wrist. Her fingers trembled with fear, but she held on. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, I will not let you hurt my child. You mean my future? Ava snapped. And it is about time I protect it. Elena refused. Ava slammed her free hand into Elena's shoulder, pushing her back. Elena hit the dresser again, knocking over a bottle of lotion that spilled across the floor. You think you can fight me? Ava shouted. You are pathetic. You are weak. No wonder he wants me instead. Elena swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. Ava, you need to stop. This is illegal. This is violence. You are trespassing. Ava laughed. No one will believe you. She snatched Elena's phone from the bed and held it up triumphantly. In fact, why don't we ask him right now? She hit the screen, and Daniel's face appeared on a video call. His voice came through cold and annoyed. What now? Ava tilted the phone so he could see Elena, bruised and trembling. She still thinks she matters. Daniel exhaled sharply. Ava, handle it! Elena's heart shattered at those words. Not the violence, not even the slap, but the confirmation that the man she married had handed her over. Ava ended the call and turned back with a smile that was almost gleeful. He does not want you. Elena felt her legs weaken. Her baby kicked again, harder this time. She closed her eyes and whispered a plea. Not to Ava, not to Daniel, but to the tiny life inside her. Ava lifted her hand for a third slap. She snatched Elena's phone from the bed and held it up triumphantly. In fact, why don't we ask him right now? Elena swallowed hard. Her voice cracked. Ava, you need to stop. This is illegal. This is violence. You are trespassing. Elena felt her legs weaken. Her baby kicked again, harder this time. She closed her eyes and whispered a plea. Not to Ava, not to Daniel, but to the tiny life inside her. Outside, a car screeched to a halt. Heavy footsteps thundered toward the front door. A furious voice filled the house. Elena, answer me. Where are you? Ava's face drained of color. Elena felt hope ignite in her chest. Her father had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The sound of her father's voice rolled through the mansion like thunder shaking the walls. Elena pressed a hand against her belly and felt her child respond with a forceful kick, as if the baby sensed safety approaching. Ava stood frozen at the center of the room. The confidence she had moments ago drained from her body like water spilling out of a cracked glass. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her hands trembled. She glanced toward the hallway as if searching for an escape route, but footsteps were already pounding up the staircase. Elena forced herself to stand straighter. Her legs shook beneath her. Her cheek burned from the slap. Tears blurred her vision, but she kept her gaze fixed on the doorway. She knew what her father's face would look like when he saw her. She had seen it once before when she was a child, and came home with a bruise from being pushed on the playground. A mixture of heartbreak and fire, the kind of rage only a parent could feel. His shadow appeared first, then he burst into the room. Gabriel Morales, the man who built an empire from nothing. The CEO whose name carried weight in every boardroom in Spain. A man who rarely raised his voice because he never needed to. His presence alone was enough to make people straighten their backs. But tonight, he looked nothing like the calm titan the world knew. His face was pale with shock, and then reddened by fury. His jaw clenched so tightly a vein pulsed along his temple. He saw Elena's swollen cheek. He saw the blood at her lip. He saw her holding her belly as if protecting a fragile world inside her. And something inside him snapped. Elena, he whispered first. a sound filled with hurt more than anger. He moved toward her, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "Are you in pain? Is the baby okay?" Elena swallowed and nodded. "The baby moved. I think we are okay. I am just shaken." Her father's eyes softened for a fraction of a second. He kissed her forehead. Then he turned. Gabriel Morales, the man who built an empire from nothing. The CEO whose name carried weight in every boardroom in Spain. A man who rarely raised his voice because he never needed to. His presence alone was enough to make people straighten their backs. But tonight, he looked nothing like the calm titan the world knew. His face was pale with shock, and then reddened by fury. His jaw clenched so tightly a vein pulsed along his temple. He saw Elena's swollen cheek. He saw the blood at her lip. He saw her holding her belly as if protecting a fragile world inside her. And something inside him snapped. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. The shift in his expression was so complete that even the air felt heavier. Ava tried to give a smile that almost resembled innocence, but her voice cracked the instant she spoke. "Mr. Morales, I think you misunderstand." She tripped, she lost her balance, and I tried to help. Gabriel stepped forward. Ava instinctively backed away, bumping into the nightstand. His eyes never left her. They were sharp, cold, precise. "You slapped my daughter," Gabriel said quietly. "Twice. Maybe more." Ava tried to give a smile that almost resembled innocence, but her voice cracked the instant she spoke. "Mr. Morales, I think you misunderstand." She tripped, she lost her balance, and I tried to help. "You entered her home without permission," he continued. "You assaulted her while she is 7 months pregnant." Ava's breathing sped up. She tried again. "She is lying. She hit herself when she fell. I did nothing." A bitter laugh left Gabriel's throat. "The security cameras in this house send footage to my phone at the first sign of unusual activity. The alarm alerted me. I have already seen what you did." Ava's eyes widened in horror. "Why, you have it recorded." "Yes," Gabriel replied. "Every second." Ava looked like she might faint. She grasped the dresser behind her as if it could save her, but nothing could shield her from the man standing in front of her. Gabriel took one slow step closer, then another. "Touching my daughter was your first mistake. Doing it while she carries my grandchild was your last." Before Ava could speak, 2 security guards appeared at the doorway. They had followed Gabriel upstairs. Behind them, office security from Gabriel's company arrived. Summoned by the panic alarm he had linked to multiple emergency lines, Gabriel pointed at Ava without raising his voice. "Detain her." Ava screamed. "You cannot treat me like this. Daniel told me this house would be mine. He said he was leaving her. He said he loved me." Gabriel's lips curled in disgust. "Daniel cannot give you what does not belong to him, and he cannot protect you from what you have done." As the guards gripped Ava's arms, she thrashed violently. "Let me go. I am not going to prison because of that woman. She deserved it. She ruined everything. He loves me, not her." Elena flinched but kept quiet. Her father squeezed her hand gently. Gabriel turned back to his daughter. His voice lowered to a tender whisper. "Sit down. You need rest. You have been through enough." He helped her sit on the edge of the bed, keeping her steady as she breathed through the tension gathering in her abdomen. Once she was settled, he straightened and looked toward the guards again. "Call the police, not security. This is a criminal matter. She will be charged for trespassing, assault, and endangering a pregnant woman." Ava let out a horrified cry. "Daniel will fix this. He will come. He will tell them it was all her fault. He said he would protect me." Gabriel tilted his head slightly, as if pitying her delusion. "Daniel will not protect you, because Daniel will be dealing with charges of his own." Those words silenced the room. Ava blinked. "Charges? Why him? What did he do?" Gabriel's voice was cold steel. "He ordered you to harm her. I heard his voice on your call. That is conspiracy to commit assault. The police will handle him when he arrives." Ava's face drained of color. The fight left her body all at once, and she sagged in the guard's grip. As they dragged her from the room, she screamed Elena's name. "You will pay for this. You ruined everything. He was supposed to be mine." Elena looked away. Her heart hurt, but not because of Ava, not because of the words. It hurt because the man she loved, the father of her child, had abandoned her so completely that even his mistress felt superior. Gabriel knelt in front of her. He took both of her hands and placed them over her belly. "Listen to me. You are safe now. I am here, and I will not let anyone harm you or your child again." Elena's eyes finally broke. Tears streamed down her face. She leaned forward and rested her forehead against his shoulder. "Dad, I was so scared." He wrapped his arms around her gently, careful not to put pressure on her abdomen. "I know. I am sorry I was not here sooner. But I promise you this ends tonight." Downstairs, the front door opened again. More footsteps, more voices. A deep voice she recognized. Danielle had arrived. Daniel Morales pushed open the front door of the mansion with the same arrogant confidence he carried everywhere. He never hurried, never rushed. He believed the world moved for him, not the other way around. His shoes thudded against the marble floor as he stepped inside, brushing rain from his blazer. He looked irritated rather than alarmed, as if someone had pulled him away from something important. His expression said he expected to walk in and take control, but he stopped cold. The foyer lights were flashing red. Security personnel stood in the hall, and at the top of the staircase, he saw 2 guards dragging Ava down the steps. Her hair was a tangled mess. Her makeup streaked down her face. Her wrists were restrained, and she was screaming, "Daniel, Daniel, tell them to let me go." He blinked, confused for a moment. "What is going on? Why are you touching her? Get your hands off her." Ava tried to twist around to look at him. "Tell them I did nothing. Tell them she attacked me. Please, tell them you love me." A guard tightened his grip, and Ava yelped. Daniel stepped forward, outraged. "Do you have any idea who I am? You cannot arrest someone in my house." A voice answered him from the landing above. "It is not your house." The sound froze Daniel in place. He looked up slowly. Gabriel Morales stood at the top of the stairs. His posture was rigid. His eyes were unwavering. And Elena sat behind him on the bed, holding her stomach, her cheek red and swollen. The sight of her bruised face left a crack in Daniel's expression, but it was gone as quickly as it appeared. He straightened defensively. Gabriel descended the steps with slow, deliberate precision, each step echoing through the house like a countdown. "Good evening, Daniel. I see you finally decided to show up." Daniel forced a breath and tried to compose himself. "Gabriel, look, there has been some kind of misunderstanding here. The guards are overreacting. Ava would never harm Elena. She is emotional, but she is not violent." Gabriel stopped at the bottom step. The air shifted. His voice came out calm, but cold enough to burn. "You let her into the house. You gave her the code. You told her to handle Elena, and she did exactly that. I saw it with my own eyes." Daniel's eyes flickered. "I do not know what you think you saw, but Elena exaggerates everything. She always has." Elena flinched on the bed at his words. Her hand instinctively tightened around her belly. Gabriel's eyes sharpened. "Your child is inside her, and you sent another woman to lay hands on her." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I never told her to do that. Ava acts on her own sometimes. You know how she is. This is getting blown out of proportion." "She slapped Elena," Gabriel said. "Twice, maybe more. And your voice, on a call recorded by the security system, told her to do whatever she needed." Daniel blinked. "Recorded." "Yes," Gabriel replied. "Recorded." Daniel's shoulders tensed. His arrogance wavered. It was subtle, but it showed. Ava began crying loudly as she was pulled toward the front door. "Daniel, help me, please. They are taking me to jail. Tell them it was her fault. Tell them she hit me first." Daniel blinked. "Recorded." "No," she cried. "You promised me everything. You said Elena would be gone by now. You said the baby was ruining your life." A few of the guards exchanged disgusted looks. Gabriel inhaled sharply, his fury barely leashed. "You said what?" Daniel's eyes flicked to Elena. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, he had no excuses ready. Gabriel turned to the officers who had just arrived through the open door. "Take her into custody. Trespassing, assault, endangerment of a pregnant woman, an attempt to cause harm to an unborn child. Everything is recorded. You will find the footage waiting for you." Then he added, "And summon a unit for Daniel." Daniel snapped back to life. "Wait, what are you talking about? You cannot arrest me. I did not hit anyone." "You orchestrated it," Gabriel replied. "Conspiracy is a crime. Directing someone to commit violence is a crime. Allowing your mistress entry to the house your wife owns is a crime. And so is leaving your pregnant wife unprotected while telling another woman to handle her." Daniel raised his voice, something between panic and anger. "This is insane. You are destroying your own son-in-law. Do you understand that? You are ruining your daughter's marriage." Gabriel stepped closer, just 1 pace away from him. "You ruined her marriage. Tonight you almost ruined her life. You endangered my daughter and my grandchild. And you think I will not destroy you for that?" Daniel's breathing grew uneven. He tried to glare, but the fear behind his eyes exposed him. "You think you can just take Elena away from me? She is my wife." From behind Gabriel, Elena spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft, but steady. "I am your wife in title only. You stopped being my husband a long time ago." Daniel turned to her. "Elena, do not do this. You know how dramatic you get when you are stressed. You are overreacting." Gabriel stepped closer, just 1 pace away from him. "You ruined her marriage. Tonight you almost ruined her life. You endangered my daughter and my grandchild. And you think I will not destroy you for that?" From behind Gabriel, Elena spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft, but steady. "I am your wife in title only. You stopped being my husband a long time ago." Gabriel stepped between them protectively. "She will not speak to you right now. She will not listen to your lies. She will not be manipulated again." Daniel's voice cracked with desperation. "Gabriel, you cannot take my family from me." "You did that yourself," Gabriel said. The officers approached. "Sir, you need to come with us for questioning." Daniel threw up his hands. "This is ridiculous. I have not done anything wrong." Gabriel folded his arms behind his back. "Everything is recorded, including what you said to Ava." Daniel's face went pale. Ava screamed as she was taken outside. "Daniel, help me! Please do something!" He turned his head away from her. It was over. He had sacrificed her for himself. The officers placed handcuffs on his wrists. He stiffened, humiliated, struggling to maintain composure even as his world collapsed around him. "Elena, please, tell them to stop. This is a mistake." Elena looked at him with an exhaustion that went beyond physical pain. "The only mistake was trusting you." Daniel swallowed hard. The officers escorted him out of the mansion. As the front door closed behind them, the house fell silent again. But it was not the same silence as before. This one felt heavy, full, final. Gabriel returned to Elena's side and kneeled. "Let us get you to the hospital. We need to check the baby and make sure you are stable. Then we will take the next steps." Elena nodded, eyes glossy. "Yes, I want to go." Daniel swallowed hard. Together, they walked out of the bedroom. Behind them, the mansion no longer felt like a battle zone. It felt like the beginning of her freedom. The ride to the hospital felt longer than any journey Elena had taken in her life. Gabriel drove with one hand gripping the steering wheel and the other resting on Elena's shoulder whenever he hit a stoplight. The city lights streaked across the windows. Rain tapped gently on the glass. But inside the car, the air was thick with unspoken fears. Elena kept one hand on her belly the entire time, rubbing circles in a slow rhythm meant to soothe both herself and the baby. Every few minutes, Gabriel glanced at her with worry carved into his face. "Tell me if your stomach tightens again, or if you feel dizzy, or nauseous, or anything unusual." "I will," Elena whispered. Her throat still ached from crying, and her cheek stung where Ava had struck her. "The baby kicked. That means he is okay, right?" Gabriel inhaled slowly. "Movement is a good sign, but we need a full evaluation." Elena nodded. She stared at the passing lights until they blurred into streaks. Even though she was physically safe now, her mind replayed the sound of Ava's slap again and again. The echo of Daniel's cold voice still pressed on her chest like a weight. When Gabriel pulled into the hospital's emergency entrance, he jumped out immediately and ran around the car to help her. Nurses hurried over with a wheelchair, their faces shifting to concern the second they saw Elena's cheek and swollen eyes. "What happened?" a nurse asked. Gabriel spoke before Elena could. "She was assaulted. She is 7 months pregnant. Please check her immediately." The nurse's tone changed. "Follow me. We will take her to the maternity emergency unit. We need fetal monitoring and a physical exam." As they wheeled Elena through the bright hallways, Gabriel walked beside her, matching the wheelchair's pace with unwavering focus. The hospital smell of antiseptic and clean linens wrapped around them. Elena felt her nerves tighten. She had not been in a hospital since her second trimester checkup, but tonight, everything felt different. Too urgent, too fragile. Once inside a private exam room, a nurse gently helped Elena onto the hospital bed. Another pressed cold gel onto her abdomen and attached the fetal heart monitor. The steady rhythmic beeps filled the room like a lifeline. Gabriel let out a breath when he heard the heartbeat. There it is, strong and steady. Elena closed her eyes in relief, tears slipping down her temples. Thank God. The doctor entered a moment later, a middle-aged woman with calm eyes and a steady voice. She examined Elena's cheek, wrists, and abdomen. She asked questions about the pain, the stress, the baby's movements, and the events of the night. Elena tried to answer clearly, but her voice cracked several times. The doctor placed a reassuring hand on her arm. You did the right thing coming here. Your vitals are okay, and the baby's heartbeat is strong. However, the stress you endured could cause temporary contractions or elevated blood pressure. We will monitor you for a few hours. Gabriel exhaled softly. Thank you. Whatever she needs, please do it. The doctor gave him a sympathetic look. I am sorry you both went through this. If she experiences dizziness, bleeding, or severe abdominal pain, we must intervene. But so far, everything looks stable. Elena nodded, though her trembling never completely stopped. The doctor left them with a nurse who stayed just outside the door. When they were finally alone, Elena looked at her father. She could not hold back the tears anymore. Dad, why did he do this? Why did Daniel want her to hurt me? Why would he ever say those things? Gabriel pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down heavily. Elena. Some people lose themselves in greed, ego, or lust. He chose the wrong path, and he chose it long before tonight. But he was my husband, she whispered. How could he ever want to harm his own child? Gabriel shook his head in slow, pained disbelief. I do not think he saw the child as real anymore. People like Daniel only see what benefits them. The mistress fed his ego. You threatened it. That is why he turned against you. Elena pressed her hand to her mouth to keep from sobbing. And I believed him, even when he lied, even when he stayed out late, even when he stopped touching me. I thought I could save our marriage. I thought the baby would bring him back to me. Gabriel leaned forward and took her hand gently. Your hope was not a weakness. It was love. But love cannot fix a man who does not want to be fixed. Daniel made his choices. And tonight, those choices were exposed. Elena looked at the monitor beside her bed. The steady green line moved in calm, even pulses. Strong, stable. The baby deserves better than this. Yes, Gabriel said. And so do you. Silence settled between them for a moment. A quiet silence. A healing silence. Then Gabriel spoke again, his voice firmer. The police called me while you were being evaluated. Ava is in custody, and Daniel has been detained for questioning. They will both face charges. There is enough evidence to push for full legal protection for you and the baby. Elena nodded. Good. Silence settled between them for a moment. A quiet silence. A healing silence. Gabriel leaned forward and took her hand gently. Your hope was not a weakness. It was love. But love cannot fix a man who does not want to be fixed. Daniel made his choices. And tonight, those choices were exposed. They sat like that for several minutes. Elena's breathing steadied. The baby moved gently. The monitor kept its reassuring rhythm. After a while, Gabriel stood. I need to speak to the doctor outside and update the officers. I will come right back. Gabriel leaned forward and took her hand gently. Your hope was not a weakness. It was love. But love cannot fix a man who does not want to be fixed. Daniel made his choices. And tonight, those choices were exposed. She pressed a hand to her cheek again. Her skin still throbbed. Footsteps approached, but they were softer than her father's. Elena opened her eyes. A nurse stepped in with a cup of warm water. Drink this. You lost some fluids with the stress. Elena managed a small smile. Thank you. Footsteps approached, but they were softer than her father's. Elena opened her eyes. Elena managed a small smile. Thank you. Footsteps approached, but they were softer than her father's. Elena opened her eyes. As she left, Elena looked at the ceiling. For the first time in months, she felt a small flame inside her. A spark of something she thought she lost. Strength. She placed her hand on her belly, whispering softly, We are going to be okay. I promise you that. Outside the room, Gabriel's voice rose sharply. Officers spoke back in firm, professional tones. There was talk of statements, charges, restraining orders. But inside the room, Elena felt calm. Tomorrow would be the beginning of a very different life. Tomorrow would be the beginning of a very different life. A nurse stepped in with a cup of warm water. Drink this. You lost some fluids with the stress. By the next morning, the news had already spread across Madrid like wildfire. Elena had barely slept in the hospital room, drifting in and out of light rest while nurses checked her vitals and monitored the baby's heartbeat. At dawn, pale yellow sunlight slipped through the curtains and brushed her face. She opened her eyes slowly, feeling the heaviness of the night before settle across her chest. "Tired," Elena whispered, "but the baby seems calm." She placed her hand on her belly, whispering softly, "We are going to be okay. I promise you that." A gentle knock sounded at the door. A nurse stepped in with a tablet in her hands. She looked more serious than before. "Mr. Morales, Mrs. Morales," she said politely. "I thought you should know. The media has picked up the story." Elena's breath caught. "Already?" "Yes," the nurse said. "It started around 4 this morning when someone leaked the arrest report. By 6, several outlets were reporting it publicly." Gabriel sighed. "I expected it, but I was hoping for more time." A gentle knock sounded at the door. A nurse stepped in with a tablet in her hands. She looked more serious than before. Elena's breath caught. "Already?" CEO's mistress arrested for assaulting pregnant wife in late-night incident. Husband detained for conspiracy. Below it was a photo of the police station entrance from earlier that night. Ava was being escorted inside, mascara smeared, face contorted in anger. A second photo showed Daniel being led in handcuffs toward a patrol car, trying desperately to turn away from the cameras. Elena stared in silence. Her pulse thudded in her ears. She felt exposed, like her private pain had been laid out for the entire world. Gabriel took her hand. "Elena, listen to me. You did nothing wrong. None of this is your shame. This is the result of their actions, not yours." Elena nodded, but her throat tightened. "I never wanted my life to be in the headlines." "I know," he said, "but sometimes the truth is bigger than privacy." The nurse gave Elena a sympathetic smile. "If it is any comfort, most of the public comments are in your favor." Gabriel frowned slightly. "Public comments?" The nurse nodded. "Yes, everyone is talking about it online." Gabriel hesitated, then tapped open the comment section of the article. Elena had expected cruelty. The internet often delivered it without hesitation. What she saw instead made her eyes fill with tears. Poor woman, pregnant and still being attacked. Justice for her. "Anyone who touches a pregnant woman deserves prison time. I hope she and the baby are safe. Sending love." How could a husband allow this? Absolutely unforgivable. Support for Elena, stay strong. Dozens, hundreds, then thousands of comments. People she had never met, people who knew nothing about her life, yet they were speaking for her when she had not been able to speak for herself. Her hands shook. They are kind. Elena had expected cruelty. The internet often delivered it without hesitation. The nurse stepped out to give them privacy. Gabriel stood and closed the tablet. "Elena, today will be difficult. Reporters will want statements. The investigators will want your full testimony, and you will need legal protection, but I will handle all of it. Your only job is to focus on yourself and the baby." Elena nodded slowly. "I can do that." A knock sounded at the door again. This time, a police officer entered. His uniform was crisp, his expression respectful. "Mrs. Morales, Mr. Morales, I apologize for disturbing you, but I need to inform you of developments in the case." Gabriel gestured for him to continue. The officer opened a folder. "We have reviewed the security footage provided by Mr. Morales. It clearly shows the assault. It also shows verbal exchange that suggests intent to harm. Combined with the recorded phone call and the unauthorized entry, the evidence is strong. The prosecutor's office will pursue charges." "Mrs. Morales, Mr. Morales, I apologize for disturbing you, but I need to inform you of developments in the case." Gabriel gestured for him to continue. Elena closed her eyes. She felt the weight of everything pressing down on her, but beneath it all, she felt something else, a small flicker of relief that justice was moving. "Thank you," she whispered. The officer nodded and left. Gabriel sat next to her again. "You are safe now. The law is on your side." But Elena shook her head gently. "Being safe is not enough. I need to heal." Gabriel looked at her with soft, sad eyes. "Healing will come. You have people who love you. You have this child, and you have the truth. Elena leaned back into the pillow. The fetal monitor continued its steady, rhythmic beat. She focused on that sound. It grounded her in the present. It reminded her that the future still existed, even after everything that had happened. A few hours passed. Nurses came and went. Doctors checked her vitals. Her father made phone calls from the hallway, arranging lawyers, statements, protection orders, and media guidance. Everywhere she turned, Gabriel was doing everything in his power to rebuild the walls that Daniel and Ava had tried to tear down. But Elena shook her head gently. Being safe is not enough. I need to heal. Gabriel looked at her with soft, sad eyes. Healing will come. You have people who love you. You have this child, and you have the truth. Gabriel sat at the edge of her bed. The truth always gets loud before it becomes quiet, but you will not have to face a single part of it alone. Elena nodded slowly. I want to go home, but not the mansion, not that place. Gabriel looked at her carefully. I know, and you will not. I have already arranged another residence, a secure apartment owned under my name. No one knows the address. You will stay there until the investigation ends. Elena breathed out. Relief washed over her. A new place, a new beginning. Thank you, she whispered. Gabriel smiled gently. We begin again, starting today. Elena looked down at her belly and ran her palms slowly across the curve. For him, I have to be strong for him. You will be, Gabriel said. You already are. Outside the window, Madrid moved under a bright afternoon Sunday. Cars rushed along the streets. People walked to work. The world continued, unaware of the storm Elena had survived. But somewhere within the city, a prosecutor was preparing charges. Detectives were reviewing security footage, and the man who had once vowed to protect her was sitting behind a police interrogation table. Elena lifted her chin slightly. For the first time, strength did not feel out of reach. It felt like the beginning of something she had needed for a long time. Freedom. Elena lifted her chin slightly. For the first time, strength did not feel out of reach. You will be, Gabriel said. You already are. Elena lifted her chin slightly. For the first time, strength did not feel out of reach. You will be, Gabriel said. You already are. Gabriel sat beside her, his expression softening. You will not face him, not now, not ever again unless you choose to. The law is on your side, and you are not alone in this. A knock interrupted them. A detective stepped into the room with a folder under his arm. His posture was straight, his voice respectful. Mrs. Morales, I wanted to update you before you leave. Elena braced herself. Please, go ahead. The detective opened the folder. We have taken Ava's statement. She attempted to deny the assault, but after reviewing the footage, she admitted to entering the home and striking you. She tried to blame emotional instability, but the evidence is overwhelming. She will remain in custody until her arraignment. Elena looked down at her hands, remembering the sting of the slap. And Daniel. The detective paused, choosing his words carefully. He is still being questioned. The recording clearly shows he encouraged the confrontation. That alone qualifies as intent to harm. Depending on how the prosecutor interprets the phone call, he could face charges of conspiracy, domestic endangerment, and coercion. Gabriel crossed his arms. Good. Every consequence is deserved. The detective continued. We will need a full statement from you later this week. For now, rest is more important. Focus on your health and the babies. The detective opened the folder. We have taken Ava's statement. She attempted to deny the assault, but after reviewing the footage, she admitted to entering the home and striking you. She tried to blame emotional instability, but the evidence is overwhelming. She will remain in custody until her arraignment. When the detective left, the nurse returned with discharge papers and instructions. She reminded Elena to rest, avoid stress, and return immediately if she felt any contractions or unusual pain. Elena listened carefully, absorbing every word. Her baby's safety was the only thing that mattered now. After signing the last form, Elena stood slowly, one hand gripping her father's arm for balance. Her body felt heavier than usual, weighed down by exhaustion and the emotional aftermath. But beneath the heaviness was a quiet determination. She was stepping away from a nightmare, and she would not walk back into it. Gabriel escorted her through the hallway. Nurses smiled at her supportively. A few people recognized her from the news but turned away respectfully, whispering only after she passed. The world might have been watching, but at least the hospital staff protected her dignity. Outside, the air was cool and fresh. A black sedan waited at the curb, one of Gabriel's private security vehicles. Two guards stood by the doors with calm, professional expressions. Gabriel guided Elena into the back seat and sat beside her. The car pulled away smoothly from the hospital entrance. For the first few minutes, neither of them spoke. Elena watched the city through the tinted window. People walked down the sidewalks carrying groceries or coffee cups. Couples held hands. A group of teenagers laughed loudly at a bus stop. The world looked painfully normal. She wished her life felt even half as ordinary. Gabriel finally broke the silence. "The apartment we are going to is fully secured. Only you, me, and the security team know the access code. It is not connected to any of your old addresses. No one can reach you there." He smiled gently. "Good. You deserve safety and peace and a chance to heal." He smiled gently. "Good. You deserve safety and peace and a chance to heal." The drive continued quietly. Elena rested her head against the seat, her hand spread protectively across her belly. The baby shifted beneath her palm. She whispered, "It is going to be all right, I promise." When they finally pulled into the underground garage of a modern high-rise building, Gabriel helped her out of the car and into the elevator. The doors closed, swallowing them in silence once again. Elena felt her heartbeat quicken as they ascended. When the elevator opened, she stepped into a bright, spacious apartment with soft lighting, clean lines, and warm, neutral colors. It smelled faintly of lavender and new furniture. It felt safe, calm, untouched by the chaos of the past 24 hours. Elena walked slowly across the living room, running her fingers over the back of the sofa. Her father watched her with a mixture of relief and sadness. "What do you think?" he asked softly. She turned to him. Her eyes glistened. "It feels like a place where I can breathe again." Gabriel crossed the room and pulled her into a gentle embrace. "Then this is where you will stay, and this is where you will rebuild your life." Elena rested her head against his shoulder. For the first time in months, she felt grounded, safe, ready to face whatever came next. And far away across the city, in a stark interrogation room, Daniel Morales began to realize he had lost everything. Elena woke the next morning, in the quiet apartment her father had prepared for her, wrapped in soft white sheets that still smelled new. For a few seconds, she did not know where she was. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar. The air carried none of the heavy tension of the mansion. No shadows reminded her of Ava's rage. No memory of Daniel's voice seeped through the walls. The silence was gentle, not frightening. Then she remembered everything at once. The slap, the terror, the hospital, her father pulling her away from the chaos. She placed a hand on her belly and exhaled. The baby shifted under her palm, calm and steady, and she whispered, "Good morning. We are safe." The living room was filled with early sunlight when she stepped out. Her father was already awake, seated at the dining table with coffee and a stack of documents. He looked up the instant he heard her. His expression softened. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I expected," she said. "Still tired, but I feel lighter today." Gabriel nodded, studying her face. "Your color looks better. That is a good sign." Elena poured herself a glass of water and sat at the opposite end of the table. For a moment, they did not speak. The silence felt peaceful, like a small victory, but reality waited beyond it. "What happens now?" Elena finally asked. "A great deal," Gabriel replied. "The prosecutor will file charges within 48 hours. The police have enough evidence, but what matters right now is your recovery, physical and emotional." Elena traced a finger around the rim of her glass. "Recovery sounds simple, but it does not feel simple." "No," Gabriel agreed. "It never is. But every step counts, and today has a purpose." She looked up. "What purpose?" "Today you take back control," he said. Elena did not respond immediately. She wanted to believe those words. She wanted to feel strong, but the bruises on her cheeks still ached. The memory of Daniel's indifference still stung like an open wound. Healing felt far away. Gabriel pushed a slim folder toward her. Inside are contacts for a therapist specializing in trauma, a prenatal support counselor, and a legal advocate for domestic violence cases. "We do not have to choose today, but you will have options." Elena opened the folder hesitantly. She scanned the names and felt something unexpected stir inside her. Hope. She had spent months shrinking herself to fit Daniel's expectations. She had grown used to being dismissed, ignored, belittled. She had let the isolation numb her until she believed she was powerless. Now, for the first time in a long time, she saw a path forward. Her father continued, "You also need to make decisions about your future, your home, your finances, your independence. You do not need to decide everything right away, but I want you to remember that you have choices. He does not control any part of your life now." Elena's voice was quiet. "I think I forgot that I had choices." Gabriel leaned forward. "Then today you begin remembering." Elena took another sip of water, letting the silence settle. Her pulse was steady, her breathing calm. The baby nudged softly beneath her hand. For the first time since the assault, she felt a thread of strength weaving itself through her chest. "I want to meet with the therapist," she said softly. "Not today, but soon." "Whenever you are ready," Gabriel replied. "And I want a lawyer, a good one. You will have the best." Elena let out a slow breath. "And I want to file for divorce." That was the first time she had said the words out loud. They hung in the air between them. They felt heavy and freeing at the same time. Gabriel reached out and squeezed her hand. "I support you completely." Elena felt tears sting her eyes. Not the tears of fear she had cried last night. These were different, softer, stronger. The apartment phone buzzed. Gabriel answered, listened for a moment, then thanked the caller and hung up. The prosecutor just confirmed they are adding additional charges against Daniel. They found records of messages between him and Ava that show intent and planning. Elena closed her eyes. So he never doubted her. He never doubted their plan. "No," Gabriel said gently. "But you do not have to carry the weight of that betrayal anymore." Elena rested her hands over her belly again. "I want my child to grow up in a world without him." Gabriel nodded. "Your child will grow up surrounded by love. Not violence, not fear, not manipulation." Elena stood and walked toward the wide balcony door. She pulled it open and stepped outside. The morning breeze brushed her face. The city below was waking. Cars honked softly. People walked to work with coffee cups. Children laughed on the sidewalk. The world moved, unaware of the war she had survived. She placed both hands on the railing and breathed deeply. The cool air filled her lungs. The sunlight warmed her skin. For the first time, she felt the distance between who she had been yesterday and who she was becoming. Inside, Gabriel watched her with quiet pride. He knew this moment mattered more than any court hearing or news headline. This was the moment she reclaimed herself. Elena turned back to him. Her eyes were clearer than before. "Dad, I am ready, not for everything, but for the first step." Gabriel smiled. "Then that is where we begin." Elena walked back inside, hand over her belly, head held just a little higher. She was no longer the woman who trembled in her own home. She was the woman who had survived, and she was learning how to rise. 2 days later, Elena walked into the courthouse with her father beside her. The building loomed above them in cold gray stone, its entrance crowded with reporters, flashing cameras, and murmuring voices that swirled through the air like a restless storm. Security officers formed a barrier around the doors, guiding Elena and Gabriel through with firm efficiency. Even so, Elena felt the weight of 100 eyes tracking her every step. Her hand instinctively rose to her belly. The baby shifted beneath her palm, a small reminder that she was not alone. Gabriel leaned close and whispered, "Do not look at the cameras. Look straight ahead. You have done nothing wrong." Elena nodded, inhaling deeply before stepping inside. The courthouse smelled of old paper, polished wood, and the faint trace of disinfectant. Voices echoed off the tall ceilings. Every footstep seemed amplified. As they approached the courtroom, Elena felt her pulse quickening. She knew this was not a trial. Not yet. It was only the first hearing, but it mattered. This was where her truth would be spoken aloud, and where Daniel's lies would begin to unravel under the eyes of the law. Inside the courtroom, rows of polished benches stretched toward the judge's stand. Officers sat at the sides, with files stacked neatly in front of them. The prosecutor stood near the front, reviewing documents with calm focus. When he looked up and saw Elena, he gave a small nod of reassurance. Elena and Gabriel took their seats at a reserved table. She kept her hands clasped tightly in her lap, grounding herself with slow breaths. Then the door behind the defendant's bench opened. Daniel entered in handcuffs. His hair was unkempt, his suit wrinkled, his face pale and drawn from 2 nights of interrogation and sleepless hours in a holding cell. For the first time since she had known him, he looked small, not physically, but spiritually. Like all the power he had once wielded had been stripped away, leaving only a hollow shell. He lifted his eyes and saw her. For a moment, something flickered across his expression. Shame, fear, anger. It was hard to tell. But Elena looked away. She owed him no emotion. A moment later, Ava was brought in. She wore a beige jumpsuit, her wrists cuffed in front of her. Her eyes darted wildly around the room until they landed on Elena. Her face twisted. Whether from jealousy or rage or panic, Elena could not tell. She only knew she would not flinch this time. She sat straighter. The judge entered, and the courtroom rose. After everyone sat again, the clerk read the charges. Elena listened in silence, breathing deeply through each one. Trespassing, assault causing bodily harm, assault on a pregnant woman, intent to cause emotional and physical injury, conspiracy to commit assault. Each charge landed with the weight of justice long overdue. The judge addressed the court. This hearing concerns the determination of bail, conditions of release, and protection orders. The evidence submitted includes video surveillance, audio recordings, physical injuries, witness statements, and digital communication. Daniel shifted in his seat. Ava stiffened. The prosecutor approached the stand. Your Honor, the evidence clearly shows coordinated intent between the 2 defendants. The assault was not accidental. It was planned, encouraged, and recorded. Furthermore, Mrs. Elena Morales was 7 months pregnant at the time, adding a significant aggravating factor. Gabriel squeezed his daughter's hand gently. Elena looked forward without blinking. The defense attorney attempted a rebuttal. He argued emotional instability, miscommunication, stress, poor judgment. He tried to paint Ava as impulsive and Daniel as overwhelmed by marital conflict. But the judge remained unmoved. The prosecutor pressed a button, playing the audio of Daniel's voice, telling Ava to do whatever she needed. The sound echoed through the courtroom, cold and cutting. Daniel lowered his head. Elena closed her eyes. Hearing his voice again hurt, but it also strengthened her resolve. The prosecutor continued. Your Honor, the victim suffered physical injury, emotional trauma, and medical risk to her unborn child. Her safety requires strict protection. When the prosecutor returned to his seat, a hush fell. The judge reviewed the papers before him for nearly a minute. Then he spoke, his voice steady and firm. Bail for Ava Martinez is denied due to the severity of the assault and the risk of further harm. She will remain in custody until trial. Ava gasped. No, please, I cannot stay in jail. I was manipulated. I did what he told me. Her voice rose into frantic sobs, but the judge continued unfazed. As for Daniel Morales, bail is set with conditions. He is prohibited from contacting the victim in any capacity. A full protective order is granted immediately. Violation of this order will result in immediate arrest. Daniel looked up sharply. Your Honor, I need to talk to her. She is my wife. The judge's eyes hardened. You forfeited that right the moment you conspired against her safety. Daniel's face blanched. The protective order was handed to Elena's table. Gabriel placed it gently in front of her. The paper was simple, black letters on white, but to Elena, it felt like a shield. A line drawn by the law between her and the man who had betrayed her. As the hearing ended, the courtroom buzzed with whispers. Officers guided Daniel and Ava out separate doors. Neither looked back. Gabriel placed an arm around Elena's shoulders. It is done. The law stands with you. Elena breathed in, then out, slow, steady, empowered. This was not the end, but it was the moment she finally felt safe enough to begin imagining one. That night, after the hearing, Elena returned to the apartment with her father. The sun had already set, and the city lights flickered like scattered gold across the skyline. The apartment felt warmer than before, as if it had absorbed her strength from the morning and now offered it back to her in quiet comfort. Even the air seemed gentler, carrying no trace of fear or tension. Gabriel helped her settle onto the sofa, arranging pillows behind her back so she could recline comfortably. She pressed a hand against her belly, feeling the baby shift beneath her palm in soft, rhythmic movements. The flutter reassured her more than anything else. She whispered, "We did it. We made it through today." Gabriel sat across from her in the armchair. His suit jacket was draped over the back, and he looked exhausted in a way she had never seen before. But his exhaustion did not come from defeat. It came from protecting what mattered most. "Elena," he said quietly, "I am proud of you, more than you know." She blinked slowly, feeling the weight of the day settle across her shoulders. "I did not feel brave. I felt afraid every minute we were in that courtroom." He shook his head. "Courage is not acting without fear. Courage is acting even though fear exists. And you did that. You faced both of them. You stood in the same room as the people who tried to break you. And you did not collapse." Elena looked down at her hands, intertwined gently over her belly. "I kept thinking about the baby. That is what kept me upright." Gabriel's expression softened. "You are already a mother, and a good one." A quiet warmth spread across her chest. She had never doubted her ability to love her child, but she had doubted her strength to protect him. Now, she knew that strength lived within her, waiting for the right moment to rise. A soft knock sounded on the door. One of Gabriel's security guards stepped inside. "Sir, everything is set. The building's security has updated their logs. No unauthorized entry, and no one has requested access. You are safe here." Gabriel nodded. "Thank you." The guard closed the door, and silence returned. Elena exhaled. "I did not realize how much I feared him showing up, even with everything that happened." "It is normal," Gabriel said. "Fear lingers, trauma echoes, but it will fade, day by day, and you will heal." Elena leaned her head back, letting her eyes close for a moment. Images of the courtroom flashed behind her eyelids. Ava sobbing as she was denied bail. Daniel's defeated expression when the judge read the protective order. The cold, echoing silence that followed each charge. A strange mixture of sadness and relief washed over her. "I never wanted revenge," she said softly. "I only wanted peace and a family. I dreamed of a life with him, a future, a stable home for our child. I do not understand how everything shattered so fast." Gabriel leaned forward. "It did not shatter fast. It cracked slowly over time. You just did not see the cracks because you were trying too hard to fix everything alone." Her breath wavered. She wiped a tear from her cheek. "I thought loving him was enough." "Love is not supposed to destroy you," Gabriel said. "If it takes your strength instead of nurturing it, it is not love. It is dependence. And you have escaped it." Elena absorbed his words quietly. For months she had felt small, afraid to confront Daniel, afraid to admit the truth, afraid to lose the last pieces of the life she thought she needed. Now, she saw what she had gained instead: freedom, safety, a chance to rebuild. She opened her eyes again and looked at the large window that overlooked the city. She could see people in the building across the street laughing over dinner, a couple walking their dog below, a teenage girl talking excitedly into her phone. Life continued, ordinary and steady. She longed for that kind of normal. "Do you think the trial will be long?" she asked. Gabriel sighed. "It depends. Their lawyers will try to delay things, negotiate, complicate matters. But the evidence is strong. The video, the audio, the medical evaluations, the witness statements. It will be difficult for them to twist the truth." Elena nodded slowly. "I want the truth to win. Not for revenge, but for closure." "It will," Gabriel promised. "And until then, this home is your sanctuary. No reporters, no calls, no confrontations, just rest and healing." She breathed out a long, slow breath. Healing sounded like a distant destination, but she knew she was already on the road to it. A small kick pressed against her stomach. She smiled faintly. "He is active tonight." Gabriel's eyes softened. "He knows his mother is safe. Babies feel everything, even the peace you are reclaiming." Elena placed both hands over her belly. "I want him to grow up never knowing fear, never seeing violence, never feeling abandoned or unwanted." "And he will not," Gabriel said, "because he has you." A quiet moment settled between them, warm and fragile. Elena lifted her chin and looked around the apartment again. The soft lights, the clean furniture, the gentle order of the space. "This is the first place I have ever been where I feel like I can breathe without waiting for something bad to happen," she admitted. "That is what home is supposed to be. Gabriel replied, "and it is yours for as long as you want it." Elena touched her cheek where the bruise had faded to a softer hue. It still hurt, but not the way it did before. The pain was no longer a reminder of fear. It was a reminder of survival. She whispered, "I am stronger than I thought." Gabriel nodded. "Yes. And soon. The world will see that too." Outside, the wind brushed lightly against the building. The night moved forward, and somewhere deep within her chest, a new beginning took root. Elena allowed herself to believe in tomorrow. A week passed in the quiet apartment, a week that felt both fragile and transformative. Each day, Elena felt her strength return in small, steady pieces. The swelling in her cheek continued to fade. Her sleep improved. Her appetite returned slowly. The baby grew more active, stretching and nudging beneath her palm as though reminding her of the future waiting ahead. Her father visited daily, always bringing warm meals, soft blankets, and new updates from the prosecutors. The case against Daniel and Ava strengthened with each passing day. Messages, footage, phone calls, all neatly layered into a narrative the court could not ignore. The prosecutor assured Gabriel that both defendants faced significant penalties. But today was different. Today marked the first morning Elena felt something she thought she had lost forever: hope. She stood on the balcony wrapped in a soft shawl, watching sunlight spill over the city. The breeze carried the faint scent of fresh pastries from a cafe below. For a moment she closed her eyes and simply breathed. No fear hovered in her chest. No tremors shook her hands. No shadows chased her thoughts. She whispered, "We are almost there." Her fingers resting gently on her belly, the baby responded with a soft kick. Inside the apartment, Gabriel cleared his throat. "Elena, I need to speak with you." She walked back in, her steps slow but steady. Gabriel stood near the table, holding a stack of papers and a solemn expression. But beneath the solemnity, there was pride. "What is it, Dad?" she asked. "These are the official filings," he said. "Your divorce petition, the protective order, the custody documents. Everything ready for your signature." She walked back in, her steps slow but steady. Gabriel stood near the table, holding a stack of papers and a solemn expression. But beneath the solemnity, there was pride. "What is it, Dad?" she asked. Elena exhaled. "Yes, I think I am. I need this. For myself. For the baby." "Are you ready?" Gabriel asked gently. She walked back in, her steps slow but steady. Gabriel stood near the table, holding a stack of papers and a solemn expression. But beneath the solemnity, there was pride. "These are the official filings," he said. "Your divorce petition, the protective order, the custody documents. Everything ready for your signature." Elena exhaled. "Yes, I think I am. I need this. For myself. For the baby." She walked back in, her steps slow but steady. Gabriel stood near the table, holding a stack of papers and a solemn expression. But beneath the solemnity, there was pride. She spoke of the isolation, the lies, the nights waiting alone while Daniel claimed to be working late. She spoke of Ava's anger, the slap, the terror in the bedroom, the coldness in Daniel's voice during the call, the exhaustion of carrying love alone. She nodded, blinking away tears she did not try to hide. "I know." And then she spoke of something else. The therapist shook her head softly. Leaving meant surviving. Elena's breath wavered. "It still hurts." "It will. But hurt is not permanence. And you are already healing." By the end of the session, Elena felt lighter, as if her chest had been unclenched for the first time in months. Elena's breath wavered. "It still hurts." She smiled. "You do not have to treat me like I am fragile." Gabriel smirked. "You are my daughter, and you are pregnant, and you are healing from hell. I think I am allowed to hover a little." She laughed softly. "A little." She smiled. "You do not have to treat me like I am fragile." "Storms pass, Elena. They always pass, and afterward everything grows." "Tonight," he whispered the words again. And tonight, she finally believed him. She laughed softly. "A little." "You will," he said. "But it will not be like before. It will be better. Because you will not give your heart to someone who treats it carelessly. You will choose someone who sees you, someone who protects you, someone who deserves you." Elena touched her belly, feeling another soft nudge. "My first love is already here." Gabriel smiled. "And he is lucky to have you." The night deepened. The apartment felt warm, safe, and full of quiet promise. Elena looked around and realized something profound. This space, these moments, this peace, were not temporary. They were the beginning of a new chapter. She whispered into the soft air, "I survived." And she had survived betrayal, violence, heartbreak, and the shattering of the life she once knew. She had stood in court and watched the truth rise above every lie. She had signed away the past and chosen her future with clear hands and a strong heart. Elena placed both hands on her belly, leaning back into the cushions. "We are free," she whispered to her child. Outside, a gentle wind brushed the building. The city glowed with quiet lights, and within that small apartment, Elena stepped fully into the light of her new beginning. The past was behind her. The future waited, and this time, she would walk toward it unafraid.